I will stop it now. There you go. All right. Ah, there you are. There we go. All right. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we relate our word action success is out for the taking. Let's get this. Show we got the sound levels. I'll make it Galaxy a freeway. We get this right. There we are. There we go. Let's making sure we got the sound right. Any more echoing? It's now. There we go. How are you feeling this morning? Huh? I hope you've had good, strong. Yep. I hope you. Yes. Yep. I hope you're feeling. So, make adjustment again to the system. That's better. I'm sure the Galaxy Freeway Network listeners can hear us loud and clear. And I trust those of you who are viewing us on Facebook and can hear us well. You can personage. There you are. A long may. Okay. Those of you who are viewing us or listening to us, I should say, via. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Okay. It's going to be important. We're going to make an impression. This show, we're going to shake foundations. Show, we're going to ask profound questions. But answering these questions, those answers will be clear, the answers you could use in your everyday life. The purpose of the show, of course, is to empower, to provide a true way for you to move forward. Let me just take off the final echoing I've got here. And I'll also adjust this one on here just to make sure there are no further echoing on this on your channels. There we go. There you are. Got it. That solved that little problem. So we're now moving forward. And moving forward with intention. Our intention, of course, is to succeed. That's why the motto of these podcasts, these shows, is that these shows are intended to provide a clear route to success. Yeah? Because success is ours for the taking. Okay? Success is ours for the taking. And I emphasize that because in producing these shows, it's got to have an aim, a purpose, a reason for getting up early of the morning, doing my exercise, and of course, preparing for these shows a few days prior. Why give up that much time? I'm rather busy myself. But it's easy because I can see the impact. The impact is clear. Okay? So before I begin, I want to give a praise and thumbs up to the Galaxy Freeway Network. Yeah? Nearly 39 years, 40 years next time. That wonderful station here in South London. Yeah? has been transmitting through all the adversities that you would expect. They've had them all, and they continue to thrive. I'm proud of my association with GalaxyAfui.net. Yeah, I'm proud of my association. Okay, but I also want to go on to say, as I say these things, that actually GalaxyAfui.net would not exist without you. You, the listeners, you, the viewers, understanding that coming together in common aim, common purpose is the right action to take in preserving our current status and advancing our future status as a community. Yeah? Incredibly important, incredibly important. But I'm minded to refer you all to an interesting article I read, well, maybe a year or two ago, yeah, by that wonderful author. You know, my favorite author is Ndidi Ishiwa, or Weshu, I should pronounce it correctly these days. Yeah? And she produced a remarkable article, which in many ways summarizes my attitude. Yeah? An article which looked at an alternative youth culture. Okay? And I'm going to read some of the article by Ndidi later on. Okay? She wrote this article in May 2020, in fact. Okay? Yeah. Almost anticipating this particular show, because this show will focus very much on the family, focus very much on our children and the preparation that we commit to produce children who become upstanding men and women, husbands and wives, nieces and nephews, yeah, grandchildren, grandsons and granddaughters, yeah, cousins, yeah, or those we simply care for because they're part of our network. To use the correct term, our village. Mm-hmm. And the village is going to be a recurring theme for today's podcast, for today's show. But before getting to that, what I want to do is, of course, give those all-important lifestyle messages. Because I'm heartened by the feedback I've had from you all since the last show, okay? And I can just say to you before I begin the lifestyle messages that if you are listening and viewing us via Facebook and YouTube, okay? And of course, Facebook and YouTube, it's under the title The Motivator Show. DE space Motivator space Show, okay? And you can send messages directly to the studio via the messenger, okay? I will see your messages straight away, okay? I'll see your messages straight away. And I welcome your messages. And I would say to Herman, thank you for your early morning message. Yes, I'm pleased that you are well. So it's a good way to directly communicate with the studio prior to my opening up the phone line, which of course I can't right now. Okay, but the messenger service on YouTube and Facebook works well. I believe there is a messenger service on GalaxyAfui.net. I've yet to master how to use it, but I will master that particular task soon enough. Okay, so please, if you wish to speak to me via the messenger, go to Facebook, The Motivator Show, or go to YouTube, again under The Motivator Show. You've got to put it in precisely, and it will take you directly to this show. Okay, so I'm going to say hi to you, Herman. Thank you for your message. Thank you for your message. I welcome your feedback via the messenger. Yep, I welcome your feedback via the messenger. So let's go straight into the lifestyle messages, okay? Lifestyle messages, I've got good evidence, has saved lives. I'm going to say it again. Lifestyle messages, I've got good evidence, has saved lives. Okay? And those of you aware that I'm a public servant, elected public servant, means that I'm exposed not to a handful of people, but to hundreds, if not thousands of people on a weekly basis. Okay, so yes, good evidence. The lifestyle messages have saved lives. We've affected people's behavior. For these reasons, we ask you to consider the amount of sugar and salt that you consume each day. Many of you, like me, as a child, were introduced to excessive quantities of sugar and salt. A treat was a sweet, yeah? A salt treat was in fact a crisp. Yeah, I'll say that again. A treat was a sweet. A crisp was a treat. But in both cases, they contain excessive quantums of sugar and salt. And as a consequence, our taste buds became accustomed to sugar and salt. The consequences of overconsumption of sugar and salt for many people, I'm not going to say some, but particularly when it comes to those of African heritage, or indeed Asian, particularly South Asian heritage from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Mm-hmm. In our communities, we have way above levels of diabetes and hypertension, high blood pressure. And there's a close causal link to our overconsumption of sugar and salt. And I'm minded to remind you of an interesting speech presented by the Vice Chancellor of the Universities of West Indies, Professor Hilary Beckles. And he noted, even in his own family network, levels of diabetes which were off the scale. And he noted diabetes across the Caribbean to be off the scale. Yeah, it should be considered as an epidemic. Yeah, a public health emergency. Here in London, where I live, there are wards in which diabetes are off the scale due to our overconsumption of sugar, hypertension at levels above the national average, the overconsumption of salt. I know, I get it. It's an integral part of our cuisine. I get it. But the overconsumption of sugar and salt is evidently harmful. So I urge you to consider reducing your sugar and salt intake. I no longer purchase sugar or salt from the grocery store. No longer do that. I avoid, where possible, those cakes. And if I do eat a cake, it's always a very small quantum. No need for it. I no longer wish to be associated with excessive consumption of sugar, in my case. And those of you who are struggling to be able to contain the consumption of sugar and salt, I get it. But please speak to your doctor, speak to your nutritionist, speak to whoever you trust to provide the psychological support, motivated psychological support that you need so you can wean yourself off the excessive consumption of sugar and salt, because most of our food contain more than sufficient sugar and salt. Yeah, more than sufficient. I equally ask you to consider your consumption of carbohydrates and fats. Carbohydrate in our case is usually derived from potatoes, yeah, or wheat products, yeah. And this is a problem for us, particularly the wheat, because it's such a basic part of our cuisine, okay? It is difficult. I get it. I'm not saying stop. I'm saying wean yourself off it. Slow reductions. Because you love yourself. And in loving yourself, you take actions that protect your health. Okay? It is difficult. I understand. I completely understand. And the potatoes and the yams, yeah? Full of carbohydrates, full of starch, which I'll come to later on. Yeah? I just ask you to consider reducing the quantum, your total daily intake, gradually over time. And if you're experiencing difficulties, I say again, speak to your doctor, speak to your nutritionist, speak to whoever you trust, whoever you respect, to slowly wean yourself off those ingredients in the excess that we consume. Slow reduction. I don't say go cold turkey, as it were, yeah, and just stop overnight, because that's usually those binges, go up and down. A gradual reduction. And of course, the fats. And I've got to remind you, yes, dairy products are simply another form of cow's fat. Cheese is another form of cow's fat, hardened cold fat. Butter is another form of cow fat, not so hard, but you can spread it on your bread. Yes, it's just another form of cow's fat. I know many of you still drink milk, bovine lactose. Yes, another form of cow's fat. Yeah, for babies, for children, maybe doubtful for adults in terms of your need as part of your nutritional intake. But speak to your nutritionist. They will give you the professional advice. Mine is but guidance. And of course, the white streaks in meat is, of course, fat. If you grill it, better still, of course, that's true. You see the clear fluid coming out of it. Yes, a fair proportion of that is water. But actually, a fair proportion is fat. I ask you to think about all that fat that enters your bodies. And as you're well aware, in our communities, yeah, those of us of African heritage or South Asian heritage, we've got far too many members of our communities with bloated shoulders, bloated abdomens, bloated thighs, and bloated buttocks. Yes, bottoms in other places, if you like. Yes, you see far too many members of our community with bloated abdomens, bloated shoulders, bloated buttocks, bloated thighs. Yep. Far too many women are heavier than the men. I'm going to say that again. Far too many of our women and girls, unfortunately, are heavier than their male counterparts. Heavier. That's highly unusual, as we are part of that mammalian family of creatures of our planet. Yeah, highly unusual to have women who are heavier than the men. I know some women will say, well, it's in the right places, but I can assure you, you're storing up long-term health conditions if you do not have them already. Yeah. Hypertension being a typical example. Diabetes, I've mentioned earlier on, being typical examples. I'm not an expert, but I dare say one of those conditions have already got to you. If you've been persistently overweight for year 10 years and beyond. Yeah. But we can do better as a community. Please, we must do better as a community. So I equally ask you to consider the amount of starch that you consume each day. And starch, primarily, I mentioned the root vegetable, particularly the yams, okay? But I have to talk about the rice. Yes, go on. I'm going to hear the Caribbeans now speaking. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yes, the rice and peas, Jamaicans in particular. Mm-hmm. Yes, too much of it. Yes, I hear my West African cousins. Oh my gosh, I can hear the loud screaming. Stop, please. Yes, the jollof rice. Too much of it. Too much of it. I'm told by the expert we should consume no more than a fistful. A fistful. Yeah? A fistful per sitting. Yeah? Our overconsumption of starch, which we store in our body for a rainy day, is leading far too many members of our communities to ill health. Overconsumption. Okay? Overconsumption. And I urge you, please, I'm not getting at you. I'm not insulting you. I simply ask you, please, to consider reducing your overall consumption of those parts of our cuisine that I've identified. The fats, the carbohydrates, yeah, the sugars, and the starch. Okay? They are having an adverse impact, a negative impact, because of our overconsumption of those 4 ingredients in our cuisine. It is tough, I realize. You form a habit. It's difficult to change those habits. But change, for all our sakes, I ask you to do so. I ask you to consider these habits as an alternative. I ask you to consider consuming, eating, more. I'm going to say it. Fruits and vegetables. Yes, fruits and vegetables of these types, particularly the green vegetables, but a broad range of vegetables, and not those that are laden with the carbohydrates and starch, such as the yams and the rice. Mm-hmm. A broad range of vegetables so our body can convert it into useful materials to build our bodies, to produce blood in the quantum that we need. More fruits and vegetables. I've had my fruits this morning. I've had my vegetables this morning. But I've also this morning drunk a certain amount of fluid. I'm told by the experts between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. Okay, it will vary depending upon your height and your mass. Okay, but between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. You can hear it. That's my water. I'm going to have some right now. I feel better for it because not only have I made sure I've had my water this morning, but I did something even more profound, and I urge you to do the same. I exercised this morning. I say again, I exercised this morning. I went for a run in our local park, ran around the park 4 times. It's about, it's under 3 miles or so. I'm not suggesting you do so. I'm suggesting that you need to either go for a brisk walk, in other words, at a slightly more than normal walk pace, okay, or go for a run if you can manage it, okay. Ideally, if you can buy into a local gym and afford a personal trainer, better still. In my case, I prefer to get up early and to do my own exercise. I've developed a routine over years. I urge you to do the same. Physical exercise is an essential part of maintaining your general health and well-being. Physical exercise is an essential part of your general health and well-being. I said it again for additional emphasis. Okay. Drinking the appropriate amount of water is an essential part of maintaining your general health and well-being. Okay. Eating appropriate quantums of fruits and vegetables, no more than a fistful or so per sitting, is an essential part of promoting your general health and well-being. Okay. But I know many of you find it difficult. I get it. Trust me, I get it. It is tough, but it's for your own good. If you're a husband, if you're a wife, if you're a brother or a sister, if you're cousins, yeah? If you've got respected friends, do it for yourself and do it for them. Do it for yourself and do it for them. Be the change maker for yourself. Be the change maker for those you love and respect. Be the change maker, because together we can create a better tomorrow. That's why this show, the Motivator Show, this is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. Yes, yes, yes. We can make a difference for ourselves. So I hope these messages receive you well. And I hope you feel strong enough to take those deliberate actions to make a difference. Okay? And if you wish to communicate with us here in the studio, clearly if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can contact the studio at any time via the messenger service. Happy to receive your messages, and I'll respond throughout the show. What I'm not going to do at the moment is open the phone lines. So I welcome your feedback. I welcome the feedback that I've received to date. So we know for certain that many of you out there have responded to the call, yeah, and have started that process to modify your nutritional intake, okay? And have now taken the trouble, made the effort, you should say, to exercise, drink the appropriate amount of water. But to just close off this lifestyle messages, it's essential, of course, that you take care of your mental and spiritual health. I say again, it's essential you take care of your mental and spiritual health. In doing so, those who love you, those who respect you, those in your friend group, yeah, those who look up to you, will see you as being the example. Okay. In my case, I've found meditation to be a powerful tool, yeah, to focus one's mind, yeah, ensure one's energy is truly focused, yeah. So each day is a pleasure for me to behold. To meditate for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day is beneficial. If you've not meditated previously, please start off with 5 or 10 minutes, where you just close your eyes, you push away all the distractions in the world, you breathe deeply, and you settle. Yeah. You quieten yourself. And in doing so, you raise your internal energy levels. You boost your immune response, yeah? Coupled with your taking care of your diet and your exercising, you boost your immune response. You can fight off the maladies, the diseases, the viruses, the bacteriums, yeah? Because you're boosting your immune response. Being able to settle, allow the energy to flow within you. And I can assure you, you will feel stronger, far more focused, alert, if you're able to meditate each day. And those of you who need spiritual counsel, I know you know where to go to seek out that spiritual counsel. It's essential. We as Africans are most certainly a truly spiritual people. We must take care of our spiritual health. Seek out our spiritual leaders. Seek out their advice, their guidance, their wise words. Whoever you trust to provide your spiritual guidance is the person you should speak to. All right, that concludes our lifestyle messages. And I hope they find you well. I hope they find you well. Now, before I go into the next phase of the show, what I want to do is give a big shout out to Carmen of the Camberwell After School Project. Okay, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. An organisation that I've come to become aware and respect. 'Cause my own children visited the Camberwell After School Project. They've got a fundraiser underway. They're seeking to raise £5,000. Those of you who are viewing us via YouTube or Facebook can see on the screen. There you are. The Camberwell After School Project is this. And there's a message from Carmen, their chief executive. Hi, family and friends. Please support my charity. We've been providing childcare services for more than 37 years and are struggling to remain sustainable. Please donate to our crowdfunding website. All donations are appreciated. Please share this message amongst your networks. Okay. Now, the Camberwell After School Project's URL, their website address is www.caspuk.org. CAS for sugar, PUK.org. That is their website address. And of course, you can go to Crowdfunder, that's crowd.uk/P//help-save-our-childcare-provision. There you go. All right, and that would take you directly to their crowdfunder site, and there you can make your donations. I will later today come and make a donation because you are an outstanding service and one the community should rally round to ensure remains in existence for another 37 years. I also want to give a quick shout out to another eminent organization, an organization, again, I've known for some time. If I can find the right one for you. Here we go. I think I've got the right one here. And of course, this organization, of course, many of you will recognize it because I've talked about them previously. Okay. Have I got the right one here? No, not the right one. There we go. I'll find it in a moment. Okay. And that's, of course, the there we go. And that's, of course, the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools or After School Projects, or NABS, as the Honourable Brother Near would say. NABS is an outstanding organisation. It is a collection of all of our, note the word, our supplementary schools, Saturday schools, if you like, after school projects. Not just a good example, of course, is the Camberwell After School Project, okay, that we fund through our hard work, okay, to provide professional services, education services, cultural information, traditional information to our children. Yeah, it's a collection. This is where you find information about those facilities in your area, particularly if you live in London, but the rest of the UK as well. The National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, or NABS, website address, it's that's three W's, nabss.org.uk. nabss.org.uk. nabs.org.uk. And I'll give you a telephone number. So if you wish to ring Brother Near, it's 07 958 364 558. I say again, the number to call, it's 07 958 348 558. Okay, and of course, if you are viewing us and on Facebook, you can see the details are quoted there as well. Okay, so it's all visible. Please spread the word. Spread the word. We are taking control. We take responsibility, yeah, for our children's development. Yeah, absolutely crucial. That's why I said this show will really focus on our responsibilities, what we will do to support our families, our children, those in greatest need. Okay, this is our purpose of these shows: is to empower if you need empowering, or to enjoin if you desire our enjoyment. Okay, to action, because success is ours for the taking. Common aim, common purpose. I know you understand that, yeah? That's why I do these shows. That's why I'm here. I'm so alive, because I meet such good people who share that agenda, an obvious common sense agenda. Okay. And before I go to my guest, and my guest is, I'm pleased is waiting in the wings, I did want to give another big shout out to Sister Joan. Remember that wonderful show I did? Yeah. Who remembers it? Who remembers that show? Come on, I'm trying to hear you. Come on, someone on the chat. Who remembers that show with Sister Joan? Yeah. Who remembers it? Who remembers it? Come on. I want to hear from you. No? Okay, I'm going to remind you that great British documentary. Sister Joan, the woman of mixed ethnicities, she shared her intimate life story. It produced a powerful delivery. She shared information about her life in very stark forms. What is it like to be a girl of mixed heritage, mixed ethnicity, living in Britain? It was a most profound experience, truly profound experience. And I say to Sister Joan, thank you so much for trusting us with that information. We thank you for the show, for that great British documentary. We learnt a great deal about you, about British society in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Okay, we respect you, and we look forward to your next documentary. And our doors here on the Motivator Show are always open to you. Be assured, okay? Be assured. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my last quick shout out, and I know I've got to go to my guest, of course, Ndidi. Now, Ndidi Ishiwa, okay? And her wonderful article, and her article focused on an alternative culture for our children, okay? Now, it's an interesting article because, of course, it was written in 2020, May 2020, okay? So you could find it on the internet. And she made the point by first of all stating the obvious, that a good culture creates a good country and a bad culture creates a bad country. So by the culture lived out, citizens establish a kind of country they prefer, not only for themselves, but also for their children. Before going any further, culture here is the social behavior, the ideas of a society, while tradition should be the ancient ways of doing things, say dancing, dressing, cooking, music making, and so on. But she's Nigerian, is Ndidi. So she refers specifically to that great country of Nigeria. Okay. And let me refer, therefore, to that great country of Nigeria. Nigerian youth, both skilled and unskilled, are voting with their feet and escaping Nigeria in their droves, heading to where there's a different culture. They're heading most especially to Western countries for some time now, also going to the Middle East, that upper eastern part of Africa. This migration to escape Nigeria, by all means, tells us and the watching world that Nigeria needs a new culture that will be attractive to its young people so that they can stay home and play their part in building a country that is habitable. What we call the alternative culture is the answer. It is one that will satisfy the longing of our youth and boost their intellectual and emotional energies, gearing them up for the task ahead of leapfrogging their country's growth and development. I'll just read the second paragraph in this article, but it's quite a long article. I would urge you to read it. The alternative culture is community focused and has the twin tenets of doing the right thing and doing the right thing the right way, has its solid foundations. By applying these two tenets in the way they think and to everything that they do, Nigerians, especially youths, will create a pleasant country where systems would work as they should and the much needed infrastructure be built and be properly maintained. Okay, I'm going to pause there because this article is in many ways the theme of today's show. And my guest exemplifies someone who works with young people and exemplifies what she said here, these two tenets. Doing the right thing and doing the right thing the right way. At the solid foundation for my guest and the work that he's going to explain to us. Let's see if I can bring my guest into the studio. Let's see if I can make this work. Let's see if my guest is ready. Oh, the screen's gone off. Let's see if I can bring my guest into the studio. And then we'll begin and engage this inspired African man. Good morning, Daniel. Can you hear us?
Greetings, Brother Councillor Martin. I can hear you loud and clear.
You are fine. And how are you feeling this fine morning?
Give thanks. I give thanks to the Most High. I'm alive and well, and I'm feeling great.
Praise Jah, Rastafari. Bless Ashun. Yes, I completely concur with you. And I see your wonderful symbol. UBUNTU. Yes, he started, yeah? He started communicating with us here and the Motivator Show. Of course, that's the way to do it, yeah? That's the way to do this, you know?
We do our best.
Hey, you're doing wonderful works. Let me advocate for you. Today, I want to advocate for you, okay? Because as part of my preparation for this show, I did some research on yourself and really to understand what it is you do as an organization, okay? And I've got to tell you, I was just so impressed by you, so completely impressed, because you're engaged in work that many talk about, but very few actually commit to. And not only commit to, but commit to in the long term, okay? So before I started, I did want to say thank you. If I don't get a chance later on, because time will fly away. I just want to say thank you straight off, right off the bat. Even before I've asked my first question, I'm going to say to you, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And you would have heard what I said about the article I quoted from Ndidi Ishua,
Yes.
her talent. And you and her, I'd like to get you both in the same room and listen to your dialogue. When I'd be like a child, listening to and I'm sitting at both your feet, watching and listening and learning from you both. Huh? Wouldn't that be exciting?
I'm with you there, brother. I'm with you there.
Now then, so let me begin. Because this is going to be an exciting experience. I can tell you, people. My first question for you, Daniel, and then you could, as you answer my first question, you might really tell us a bit more about yourself. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I should emphasize that your reputation precedes you. Yeah. Now, obviously, my audience will want to get to know you. So, here's my first question.
Yes, sir.
Share an event or details of a person that's most impacted your life path to make you who you are today. An event or a person or combination of both. Just share that with us.
I would say if you asked who's impacted my life the most, that would be my mum and my dad.
Wow.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Go on. Keep word song. Go on. Yes.
So,
it.
my mum was a very principled woman. She didn't mess about too much, but she was very loving and caring.
Yeah.
And my dad was a very playful, loving, caring man, but you just didn't really want to get on the wrong side of him. But he was playful, very, very playful. And you couldn't be in his presence and be unhappy, and he wouldn't make you laugh, or next thing, you'll be rolling around on the floor, fighting together.
Wow.
That was what I remember and I know about my mum and my dad.
Wow. That's profound. And just say, you're from the Caribbean, Daniel?
Yes, my parents are from the Caribbean, and interesting in terms of the question that you asked about the influence. So I said my mum and my dad, but from a very, very early age, I also remember my mum and my dad when we were young in the 70s, the early 70s, when Muhammad Ali used to fight. They used to wake us up so that we could come and watch this man fight.
Yes.
And that was the first time that I'd ever seen someone so eloquent in terms of their speech, but also a master in the ring and outside of the ring. And that left a massive impression on me as a young child.
Wow. Explain further.
Well, when you look at that time in the 70s, was a pretty hot time in this country. The racism, the National Front, all of those kind of things that were going on. And remember that our parents were relatively new here, trying to still establish themselves. So anything that would make them feel good about themselves, they tried to do within the home. And I can specifically speak about my home.
Yes.
And my mum and dad, as I said, were very caring and very loving. And so to see somebody like Muhammad Ali, and I can talk about it looking retrospectively, but I can also talk about it from the time I was struck by this particular individual, because I never seen anybody like that in my life.
Indeed. Yeah. Powerful.
He was a good-looking man, and I'm good-looking too. So I said, I don't want no one to punch me in my face either.
I definitely wouldn't. I'm not going to fight you on that. There you go. Powerful. Your mom and your dad.
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely. 100%.
I hear you. And
my big brother from Jamaica.
What's his name, if I may ask you his name?
My bigger brother, his name is Lincoln.
Lincoln!
His name is Lincoln. And he came here when he was about 12, 13. We were young. And that man came and he loved us, and he raised us like his brother, and I love him because he bought all his records with him when he came here, and that was you Roy, I Roy, every
Yes.
kind of Roy that
Yes.
there was.
Uh-huh.
And he played the guitar, and
Uh,
he showed me how to play the guitar as a youngster.
yeah.
But interestingly enough, the funny thing about my bigger brother,
Mhm.
while his name was Lincoln, my
Mhm.
mum always used to call him Garvey
Wa-
inside the house.
Wow.
And I used to wonder to myself, why is she calling him Lincoln when his name is Garvey? And then I asked her in my older years,
Mhm.
and she said that my grandmother wanted to name him Garvey. And so, in order to please her, she gave him the name Garvey, but also gave him the name Lincoln. So, in Jamaica, nobody knows my brother as Lincoln, they know him as Garvey. And then, me growing up inside my house, hearing that, then coming to understand that, then I started to come into understanding more about Marcus Garvey. And that was thinking about having the name Garvey right inside my house and
Mhm.
not knowing who Marcus Garvey was.
It is true. It appears that you have very similar to house to mine. My elder brother also is his name is Marcus. Deliberate.
Mm.
It was very clear. In my case, Martin, but my middle name is giving too much away. Is of course the King. You know. Okay. My younger brother, um, Patrice Lumumba. You remember Patrice?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, his name's Patrick though, but
Wow.
it,
Wow.
yes, yes, indeed. So we come from very similar households. The intention was, of course, that the name, as it's a usual African tradition, should influence us, shape our cultures,
100%.
shape our characters.
100%.
Yep, absolutely.
I was certainly impacted
Yes,
by all of those things that happened around me.
yeah. Blessed to you, blessed to you, blessed to you. So tell me then, you talked about family there. You talked about family.
Mm.
What are the most significant pressures on young mothers and fathers today that you've seen um, that might be impacting upon their children? What are the most significant pressures? Yeah.
I think that the pressures are society in the way this country is set out. I think going back to the very beginning when you spoke about that lady that you think would be
Indeed.
good for me
Yes.
to meet, you
Yes.
know, you
Yes.
sit down and you think about it. A good culture develops a good culture. A
Mm.
bad culture develops a bad culture.
Indeed.
And
Yes.
we have a very negative culture
Yeah.
in terms of this country and the way that it does things. And so, therefore, the pressures that are on young families today is great. It
Mm.
is really great. And part of those things are the demands in terms of, you know, some of the households which I kind of work with, so a lot of the children, and the statistics also say that in our community, a
Mm.
lot of the households are single parent led.
Mm.
So
Mm.
you have all those kind of things that are going on that put pressures on parents and
Yes.
also having to work.
Yes. Yes.
So all of these dynamics,
Mm.
and also the integral dynamics in terms of relationships, emotional,
Yeah.
psychological, and how that plays out,
Yeah.
also has an impact on the child.
Yeah.
So the dynamics are so great, varied, and wide.
Mm.
Um, it's just something that we have to work with at this
Mm.
particular point.
Mm.
But one of the key things
Yeah.
that I recognize that is missing is our lack of understanding of our own history.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is one of the major factors. Our parents, not all, not saying all, but there's some of our parents, in terms of the historical narrative about where they're coming from, those things are not being passed on to the children. And neither is it really set up at home where it reflects the culture from where you're coming from
Mm-hmm.
and your home. That doesn't mean that there aren't boundaries in the home, but the boundaries are not reinforced that you can actually see it sometimes reflected in the behavior of our children, and let alone our children ourselves.
You know,
So,
Daniel makes such powerful points, and they are patently true. You know, you could see the evidence, the empirical evidence, the practical evidence around us. It's all there.
it's funny, Councillor Martin, because you see, when you say, I'm going to jump back
I'm
quickly,
motivated to hear.
brother motivator, I'm going to jump back quickly, because
Yeah.
when you think of it, if you take the Windrush generation, if we use that as a marker point, when you saw our parents coming off the ship and the children, you saw highly decent, respectable people that put themselves together.
Yes.
They had an aim, they had a direction, they had a purpose.
Yes.
75 years later on, their great-great-grandchildren are walking around with their trousers down, half down their bottom, and they're looking all kind of ways that you wouldn't believe that 75 years has totally changed the way that we are.
If I may, though, Honourable Brother Daniel, was you correct? Some children behave.
Yes, some, absolutely.
It's important to say that. The majority do not.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
I hear you, and I see the evidence of what you described. It is true. What we don't want to do is characterize our children in with a broad brush in that way. There's
definitely not.
Parts of London and other parts of the country that.
Oh, beloved! I mean, I know so many children who are doing magnificent things.
Outstanding. Yes.
That says it for itself. And the majority of our children are doing great things. And I know that those that are struggling in many ways, they have something great to contribute to our community.
Absolutely.
That much I certainly know.
I 100% agree. And if I may just probe you on the pressures on young mothers and fathers, just to further qualify you, so you've provided us with some really useful information there. I know you're based in South London, okay?
Yes.
I'm very familiar with the area you operate in. Okay, I'm very familiar with that. And it does seem at first glance then that the starting point is a decision made by young men and women when it comes to procreation, if I may put it that way. Okay?
Yes.
And what support they receive before making such a momentous decision. Okay. Is there pressures on young men and women to procreate before young men have got themselves in an economic position that they can sustain a family, or a young woman is in a position in which that she has a security around her to have a family? Are there pressures on them to do that? That's your opinion?
To procreate,
to have children.
I would suspect that there are many out there that are that way inclined, 100%, without a doubt. Because I always say sometimes, if we really stop to think about it, do we deliberately have our children? Do we actually think about us wanting to have children? And I would absolutely say that there is that there. But I also say there is those things that are promoted in society, social media, sexualization, all of these kind of things.
Yeah.
Our young people don't get to be young people and grow into their adolescence and mature into their adolescence. So with the things that they're exposed to, sometimes they're practicing things that are way above their years.
Yes, yes. This is no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
And out of that is where you can have problems.
Well, what about the responsibility of parents here in terms of the guidance and advice that they provide to their sons and daughters? Where do you see parents' role in this matter?
Parents' role is absolutely key and intricate. And sometimes parents must also remember when they were young and the kind of mischief that they got up to and what they did. Because at the end of the day, you can't say that you're innocent. Otherwise, how did these children get here? So if you can't sit down and have a conversation with your children about life, those are the basic things that we have to discuss. And we shouldn't be afraid to have conversations about relationships and sex and all of those things, and the value of the woman, because it's very key that we talk about the value of women.
Yes.
Because they are very, very special, and they hold a very special and unique place.
Yes.
And so we have to teach them about not seeing themselves as just sexual objects,
Indeed.
but seeing themselves as a high cultured being.
Absolutely.
That anybody that wants to be with them should work for them in order to then have them.
I think that's well said. And just remain on this theme on the pressures on young mothers and fathers, because it's such a crucial subject. And you and I see it every day. You know that many of these very young families, they're not even families, it's a single parent, the mother, father, usually just a young mother, are born into poverty. And their children are therefore the serious disadvantage. I want to talk about the men, the young men particularly. I need to have a woman guest here to talk about the women specifically. So let's talk about the young men, as you and I are men, because it's young men we need to get these messages to. And I'll have a future guest who will focus on the women, But let's talk about the men, the young men, and their responsibilities in this regard, But of course, in highlighting the fact that young men, providing the seed of life, as it were, recognize the crucial part that they play in our community's evolution. And of course, if you get yourself in a position where you've not taken steps to prevent the emergence of a child once you've had a relationship with a girl, then you have to take responsibility for that child. And I wonder here, in terms of the pressures on young parents in particular, it's that message is not being communicated to young men. And it's possible the society, with this healthcare system, the welfare system, which gives support to the young woman and therefore is able to set her up so she can almost live apart from the family, which is crazy in my mind.
Very true.
But your views on this and the responsibilities, the role and responsibilities of young men, or indeed young daughters.
Mr. Motivator, the responsibility on young men is great. And it's nothing that young men cannot manage or cannot understand. But again, we have to have an education that teaches us about our whole physiology, our biology, the chemistry that makes us up as human beings. And the forces that run through us as human beings are natural. So that's the reason why nature takes its place, because it's natural. But whilst it's natural, it doesn't mean because they're natural that you must act them out in all sorts of ways. You have to learn, young men have to learn to master the forces of those natural forces that are in them, sex and anger and jealousy and envy. All of these things, they have to be mastered. And when they learn those things, then they can make better decisions. And those are the things that we believe that young people need to know about themselves, because one night of passion for a lifetime of misery is not an easy thing.
It is not an easy thing. Well said. And we can only hope these young men are listening, and you and I engage them. They think about their role in society, in our communities. It's such an important area for dialogue. But I'm also very conscious, though, because I've been a school governor for many decades. You tell me, why is the parents' attitude to academia or general education critical in a child's early development and future life?
Well, academia for a child is important. Now you have a kind of static academia, which is what is taught to you in education via the school. But children also have a natural gift that is in them that is academic too.
Yes.
If you're able to develop and pull that gift out of them for them to see in themselves and really work on that aspect of their personality and character, they are academic. I see that every day. But in quote unquote, in terms of how the school education system is concerned,
but the parents, to be clear, the parents' attitude to it is that's the important connection, because that's the home teaching, isn't it, through the parents?
I think the parents' attitudes towards education, they do want their children to do well, without a shadow of a doubt. They do want their children to do well. But, sometimes parents are not up to date with what is necessarily going on with their children in order to be able to support them and help them. Because if you was to give some of the parents some of the schoolwork that that the children get, some of the parents would probably struggle to do some of that work. But what I do believe in is that parents do want the best for their children. And what I would advocate is that if parents are not that way academically minded themselves, but they want good for their children, because all parents do.
Yes.
My thing is, get in contact with community groups and organizations that your children can get additional support and be part of a community that can help you when you really are struggling within yourself or you don't have that time.
Yes.
That kind of networking will help to develop the children, because it takes a village, as what we say.
Yes.
So
yes.
I encourage parents, you want the best for your children, but also get yourself involved with networks of other parents and children and organizations, so that at the end of the day you can get additional support.
Maybe I did give a shout out to Brother Near, or
100%.
Of the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools. I gave out the website address. In fact, I'm going to bring it up on the screen very quickly now. This is an opportune time to give another shout out, because there's so many youngsters at home now. This is their holiday time. Yes. So let's get this underway. I think is this one I'm going to use, or that one? I'll go use this one. There we go. There you are. Just use this one. So parents, guardians, those who love children but want them to have an environment that created for us by us. Okay, SATI schools, supplementary schools, after school projects financed by us. So important. And these institutions provide a cultural outlet, reflect who we are, respect our culture and traditions, remind our children of our history. So make contact with the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, and the website address is www.nabss.org.uk. And you can contact Brother Near, who's the coordinator, on 07958 348 558. Thank you, Brother Daniel. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
No, I think it's great, brother, the work that Brother Near does. And you also have now, brother Motivator, you have the National Black Parents Association,
indeed,
UK,
yes,
that also has a free website that you can go on, you can register, it's free, don't cost anything. And there you will have all kind of different various programs and workshops to support parents and help parents. And the third Thursday of every month, you have them talking about specific subjects. They're speaking about specific subjects relevant to our children and their development. So that's another one as well.
I'll get them in the studio in the not too distant future. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. can I just move you on to the next question I want to ask you? Ubuntu. Tell the audience about the Ubuntu social living network.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Of course, yes. Oh. That's your We're live, folks. We're live. There's not a recording. I'm going to ask Daniel about the Ubuntu social living network. What purpose does it serve?
Okay. Mr. Motivator, could you just hold for me 1 moment?
Of course, don't you worry. Okay. And whilst he's doing that, I'm just going to bring in my co-presenter, Empress Abner. Empress, my Empress, how are you, my Empress? Empress Abner. Oh, she's sleeping somewhere in there. Good morning. My Empress, how are you? How are you, my Empress? Oh,
sorry, my connection's really bad. Sorry, apologies. My connection.
Don't worry. How are you this fine morning? I'm
just doing some research. That's what I'm doing this morning, so that should be interesting. Yeah.
Good. Okay, just keep listening. We're just approaching an interesting phase in the interview, really to better understand the network that Brother Daniel is a leader. When he comes back, we can tackle that particular issue. Okay, so can you tell us how's your this past few days been for you?
Do you really want to know?
At least give us the. Oh yeah, you did mention. Give us some of the highlights.
Basically, my son started summer school. His secondary school, so that was really nice. He got Star of the Day. He learned how to use a Bunsen burner. What else did he do? He made some really interesting friends. I feel like he's settled.
Yep. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still there. So.
Okay, I think we're losing you still.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to come back to you, my Empress. Daniel has returned, so you just hold fire. Are you okay now, Brother Daniel? Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Just had to get something out of the way quickly.
Not a problem. Don't worry. You know, this is live. Don't you worry. My question to you is your organization. Can you tell us about the Ubuntu Social Living Network and what purpose does it serve?
Well, the purpose that it serves is that it's there to empower, uplift, encourage, support children and parents. And having children recognize the good and the best in themselves.
Okay.
And looking at how we can support parents to support themselves.
Yes.
To support the children.
Yes.
That really is what Ubuntu is about. And one of the sayings that the young people said is that failure is not an option. This didn't come from me. That came from one of the young people, and we use that mantra still to this day.
I like that person. I'd like to interview that person. I like that person. Yeah, I like him. If a boy or girl, I don't mind. I want to give that person. Yes.
Brilliant young man. So, you know, the saying is that young people can do great things.
Yes.
That is at the core of what we do. Young people can do great things, and they do. And sometimes we have the most fantastic conversations, and you see some of the great talents and gifts that some of our young people have, and it's just marvelous to see. And that's the reason why Ubuntu is there to help young people to see the best in themselves. And not only that, they get a hot meal as well.
Feeding them is always a good thing, I felt. I definitely want to interview that young man. So, first of all, just to break things down, just make sure we've got this understanding, first of all. Yes. Ubuntu. Why is it called Ubuntu?
The reason why it's called Ubuntu is that one of my colleagues, his name is Ian Phillips, quite a long time ago, came to me one day and said, he wants to name the organization Ubuntu. And I was thinking, well, what does that mean? And then he started to break it down to me. And then we started to talk about where it came from, what it meant, and all of those kind of things. And every aspect of it just resonated with my being. In terms of, you know, I am because we are,
yes,
therefore because we are, I am.
absolutely, well said. Yes,
That just stood with me. And I am my brother's keeper, and my brother is my keeper too.
absolutely.
And if I'm my brother's keeper and my brother is my keeper, then both of us can only go up together. And that is what Ubuntu is about. We
Well
all
said.
go up together.
Well said. Well said. Powerful word song, as a eminent member of the Galaxy Fui family would say. Word song. Huh? Word song. Wow. Wow. So tell us then, you started the organization to achieve what?
Well, to build on young people's self-esteem, confidence, and key to it was their identity.
Okay.
Because they didn't know anything about the accomplishments and achievements of African people and what Africans have contributed to civilization and the world. And so this was the reason why. And it not just for them, because at the same time, I was ignorant when I was a child and didn't understand and know certain things. But what we have been able to do is to create a space where the young people can own that space. They can talk about the things that are impacting them, and it's not taken out of context and shared anywhere. But what is said in the room is said in the room. And therefore, then we discuss it in the room. We look for solutions in the room, and then we help them in that process.
Wow. Can you give us maybe a few examples? Just any practical examples you can share with us?
Well, if you talk about, say, for instance, we had one young man. He was very, very quiet and timid, and you wouldn't think anything of this young man. He was very small at the time when we was working with him. His name is, I can say his name is Shaquille. And Shaquille was just a really gentle child. But as the years went on and we took him on different various trips and outings and did different workshops with him, he started to come into his own. We took him to Egypt. We took about 19 of us went to Egypt one year. And when we took him to Egypt, when he came back, he was never the same person again. And he now has gone on to finish his whole robotics training and education. And
well done. Well done.
And you know, the beautiful thing was he phoned me up one evening, must be about 11 o'clock in the night. And he said, "Oh, Daniel, I just wanted to say to you, you know, I got a distinction in my university, and I wanted you to know." And yeah, that brought tears to my eyes because
I'm sure.
you know,
I'd
he
love
could
to
just
meet him.
phone me.
I'd love to meet him. Oh my gosh. Wonderful. We need to encourage more of our children to go into the STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, and maths.
Yes.
Say again, we need to encourage more of our children to go into the STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, and maths.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so he's just one individual that, you know, has gone on to do good things. And there's so many more that I can talk about that have gone on to start doing their own business and things like that. So, you know, but it wasn't a process of we worked with them over a short period. We worked with them over a long period. So we had a cohort that we worked with for the best part of 10 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yep. It takes time.
It takes time because I don't believe in work. Not that I don't believe in working with children in short periods, but I prefer to work with children over the long period of time. That way you actually get to know them, you get to know their character, you get to know their personality, and that way you can interact with them in ways that you don't get to do when you just see them on a short-term basis. And you're not really playing nothing meaningful in their life. And one of the things is, for me, is that if you're not going to be meaningful in a child's life, leave them alone.
Yes. Yes. Wow. This is powerful. How many children has gone through your network, would you? I had to ask it.
Too many. Too many. But what I know is that I'm grateful for being involved in their life and them being involved in my life. And it's not just my life, but all those others in Ubuntu as well, the other directors of Ubuntu. They've been instrumental in terms of that. I can't give thanks enough for the life of those children and being blessed to be able to work with them and their parents, because it wasn't just a one-way thing. We worked with their parents as well.
Mm-hmm. Well said. And working with their parents, what was the? I hinted at the attitude of parents to learning, academia, and general education. What was the challenges working with parents? Because I imagine that there are a fair number of those were women by themselves who were struggling, for example. What were the real issues that you had to tackle with parents to help their children?
A lot of the time, it was just parents having to deal with, especially boy children, on their own.
Yeah.
Those were some of the challenges. And what we would do is make sure that we had what you call quality time events.
Mm-hmm.
And so those quality time events would mean that we would set up a dinner. We would have different kind of things where we would invite parents and we all go out for a social dinner together.
Gosh, right.
So those were the things that helped to bind us together and make the parents feel part and parcel of what was going on, as well as we would work with their children at separate points in time. No, parents had to be involved.
I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. This is such a God, I'm not going to cry. Okay, I'm not going to with my eyes. Oh, wow, absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. That's the way to do it. Holistic approach. Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be that way.
Holistic.
Parents must play a part in their children's lives because, brother motivator, in my mind, no animal in nature leaves its children to anybody else to be educated.
Indeed. Well said. I think that's a principle. Word song. I say again, word song. Word song. I'm going to open up the phone line. Do you mind taking a few phone calls if I open up the phone lines? Okay.
I don't mind. But I know you've got me till about 1:45. So
I'll open up the phone lines. Okay.
Yes.
But the audience can send messages to me via the messenger. If you're viewing us on Facebook or YouTube, use the messenger. You can send a question to us via the messenger. And what I'll do then, I'll put the phone line number up and we put it up on the screen for others here to see, put up on the show. There we go. Put up on the screen now. So the number to call, and if you're in the UK, it's 0203 289 6504. And if you're overseas, you simply take off the first zero. Don't use that. It's +44. Then, of course, it's 203 28 96 504. Okay. Again, if you're in the UK, it's 0203 289 6504. Okay. So, and that's the usual Gary Sifui studio number, just for everyone's confused. Okay. That's the usual number. Okay. So, I've responded emotionally, intuitively to what you're doing because this is what we need you in every borough, every across Britain. Yeah. And that's for sure. That's for sure. But of course, our audience extend beyond people of African heritage communities. Are your doors open to all children, regardless of their ethnicity?
Our major focus in Ubuntu is with African Caribbean children and mixed dual heritage children.
Yes.
That is where our focus mainly is. But if you want us to work with children on a whole in a wider context, then you'll get the same said thing working with children from other ethnic backgrounds.
Good.
Because one of the things is that I believe in is exposing our children to who the other ethnic backgrounds are.
Absolutely. Yes. Well said, you. And for me, that's an important question to put to you. Because I know that there are many parents of children from across the various ethnicities that make up Britain who would welcome their children being exposed to the teachings and learnings that you offer at Ubuntu Social Living Network. Okay.
Yeah, they certainly can get in contact with me, and we can look at what it is that they want, and we can structure it around them, what it is that they're looking at. So they can easily talk to me about that. But certainly our focus is African Caribbean children, mixed race, dual heritage children also. That is what we certainly are about.
Thank you. And you kind of segue into my next question. Of course, how can guardians or parents support Ubuntu Social Living Network to ensure its continuation for our next generation? How can we get in touch with you? Tell us how to do this. Go ahead.
Well, if people want to get in touch with me, they can get in touch with me at info.liveubuntu@gmail.com. I'll say that again, info.liveubuntu@gmail.com, or they can get me on dpink8@icloud.com. I'll say that again. That's dpink8@icloud.com. So if you really want to get in contact with me, you can get in contact with me there. Also, if you would like to get in contact with one of our directors who runs the programs with young people, his name is Callum Reddish. His number is 0753 451 2242. If you have children that you would like to register for Ubuntu and the programs that we deliver, you can meet the director of the programs. His name is Callum Reddish.
Excellent. You know what I'm going to do? Well, as you were saying, I just had a thought. The wonderful technology we're using allows us to connect to your website.
Yes.
Let me bring up your website on here. This might be very helpful. Let me bring this one up on here. I think I could do this here. I think this will work. Okay, this will work. Here we go. Can you see that all right? Yep. Excellent. So, of course, this is the About Us section of the website. And let me, just for the benefit of the audience, benefit of those who are thinking about, I've just missed that call, but never mind. I'm thinking about the call, and I'll just give out the number again before I do this, just to remind you, the studio number is only open for a limited period of time. Please don't wait till 2 minutes before I'm about to end, and you start calling, which is usually the way. If you're in the UK, the number to call and to speak to the Honourable, the great Daniel Pink, Brother Daniel Pink, is as follows: 0203 289 6504. That is the studio number. And if you're overseas, you remove the first zero, and it's +44 followed by the number 203 289 6504. Let me just talk to your website. So I see here on the website your mission, and this is what drew me to you. I've got to tell you, I read your mission.
Yes.
I'm going to read it for the benefit of those audiences who are listening to us purely by audio. Ubuntu Social Living Network is a social enterprise and youth leadership program based in Southeast London, Lewisham. Our mission to spread knowledge of the true African history to the African diaspora community and build our young people through knowledge of self in a positively contributing members of society. The word Ubuntu comes from the South African Buntu tribe, meaning I am, because we are, therefore, because we are, I am. This means that we must look after our brothers and sisters as we would look after ourselves and treat each other as one with unity. Now, I won't read anymore, but that was what drew me to you.
Yes.
That was powerful, truly powerful. Yeah, this is not religious. This is purely a cultural expression. It's a manifestation of our forward thinking, our love for each other, our love for all peoples of the world. Yeah, it's a demonstration of our high civilization, high society. That's what drew me to you. Powerful statements. Okay, and I see here we've got we see Callum. He looks to be a very young man.
He's a young man. Callum is now, I think, 29, 30.
Wow.
And he now is the director of Ubuntu, working with the young people.
Well won. Well won. Well done. Well done. Yeah. You've entrenched the future of Ubuntu. You've secured its future. When the young take responsibility, because they've learned from us. Yep, you've ended the baton. Power.
100%.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Praise Jah, Rastafari. Bless Hashem. Wow, that's powerful, powerful. Oh yeah. I'm going to control my eyes. My eyes are going to let me down. Okay, they're not going to let me down. This is powerful, 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 powerful. Another question for you in terms of your how you support yourselves. Okay, so I look for your net website. I don't see an opportunity for us to make donations to you. We wanted just to give you donations.
If people want to make a donation to us, I can give you that number if they want to. Our number is, the account number is 40874 575, and the sort code is 090129. So I'll say that again.
Please, yes.
The account number is 408745575, and the sort code is 090129. So if anybody wants to make a donation or a contribution, they're more than welcome to. And it goes on the young people, putting on activities and trips for them. You're more than welcome. So please feel free to do so.
Thank you so much. And I want to give a big shout out to Brother Aston of the Black Fathers group, whom you most probably know. They're based over there. A big shout out to Brother Aston. Grand rising to you also, Brother Aston. Thank you.
Grand rising, Brother Aston.
There you go. Yeah. Another powerful organization. You're all in relatively close proximity to yourself. I must say, that particular borough is truly becoming, well, maybe it had been inspired for some time. I have to say, I kind of envy you. Well said. Well said. So let me just take us what we're doing further. So what is the future for the Ubuntu Social Living Network? What do you see the future of the organization?
The future is an interesting one. And there will be links to us taking young people to Africa so that they can have an educational experience.
Yes.
So those are the things future-wise that we will be focusing on a lot more, to give them an experience into the continent of Africa, and also to look at whatever the opportunities are there that they can start to build relationships themselves.
Yes.
And so that's what the future is in terms of Ubuntu.
Wonderful. You might know I did a show only maybe a month or two ago with a young man who did come back from Africa. His parents sent him over. He went to Kenya, I believe it was, and he came back inspired.
Yes.
Inspired. He was having difficulty with his studies prior to going to Africa. He's come back so inspired that there's no way he's going to lose. He will get exemplary outcomes in exams now. He will complete his university and will acquire professional skills. And he says he's going to invest in Africa. He'll invest himself in Africa. Wow.
That's what we want. That's exactly what we want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's time for our children to experience Africa and get to see it for themselves and get to know it for themselves. And I know that when I've taken children away and we've come back, they've never been the same again.
Indeed, yes. I can testify to that. I've had children in my old schools who their parents, particularly when they get a bit, boys in particular, that puberty stage, that difficult time, and they go back to Africa and they meet their grandfathers, grandmothers, leaders of their village and so on, and they come back disciplined, focused young men.
I've had many of those young brothers and sisters that are directly from the continent, and they're over here and they're giving a little bit of problem. And when I'm working with the parents say, I've got a plan for them, and the next thing they find themselves back in Africa.
It is true. It's what they require, particularly children, cultural grounding.
Yeah, 100%.
Cultural 100%. Grounding. Okay, because as a teenager, at a very, very sensitive time, we become very alert, very aware of our surroundings, and we respond based upon the relatively limited knowledge we have of the world. And too often it is self-destructive, the behavior. It's a phase, and you require a stable hand, a stable, loving hand to be pressing down on you, so that you feel grounded.
Yes.
So your feet go into the earth, so your roots. You've set roots there, So certain you understand who you really are. You understand your culture, what is being bequeathed to you by those whose shoulders you actually stand on at this time, but didn't realize it. Powerful, truly powerful. And what you're doing is absolutely. But I would love to contribute financially to sponsor a child whose parents cannot afford it to go to Africa next year. You tell me, you identify a parent, and I will gladly sponsor a child so they can accompany your next trip to Africa next year. I'd love to do so. All right? That's my promise to you. This is powerful. This is what we all need to do. Daniel, this is such a beautiful interview. I'm just going to say to you, my last question to you is this. I'm particularly concerned to hear from our children, young people you work with, okay? And I would like you to come back maybe within a month or so with a few of those, I say our children.
Yes.
But, you mentioned one who's now one of the STEM subjects, okay, in robotics.
Well, the one that I mentioned to you, he is one of the presenters. His mother was one of the presenters on Galaxy, and her name was Sister Italy.
Oh, yes.
Yes. It's her son.
Sister Italy. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. But give me a few others. I'm interested not only in yours, but I want to say to parents, head teachers, and others who have children who've achieved. I want to do a show just before they go back to school, where we focus just on young people, our children, and their achievements. And we want to applaud them, publicly recognize their achievement. It could be that they've got a C, but for that child, a C was a remarkable outcome. It could be a straight A's. for that child is a remarkable outcome. It could be that a son or daughter has just got exemplary results from their university. Again, that was right for that child. Another child who just achieved a professional qualification. We want to give publicity. We want to applaud. We want to reshape the youth culture so it's focused on study, self-expansion, self-development. Yeah, that is UBUNTU Social Living Network. That show will happen just before these children go back to school and university, and that's what I want to do. Focus on their achievement. Yeah, focus on their achievement. Oh my God. And now my co-presenter is there in the wind somewhere. She's having some difficulty connecting. Empress Abner. Empress Abner. Oh, she's somewhere in the background. She's Empress Abner. Okay, we can't get through to her. Don't worry about her for the moment. She's only going to give me grief later on, I'm sure. But I don't call her name. But mark this. I did call her name, Empress Abner, for the last time. Oh dear, she's not connecting. Empress Abner, no.
Hello, can you hear?
Oh, you are there.
I am here.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, I know you've been absorbing the great man, Honourable Brother Daniel Pink. You have a question for him? Any questions for him?
I want to know if you work in secondary schools. Because for me personally, I feel like there's a lot of things that need to be taken place in secondary schools and primary schools, especially in the transition stage. So I feel like, especially with Afro-Latinas, maybe, I don't know if you work with that ethnic minority group, because there are a lot in South London at the moment, and I think they struggle to find identity. I think they struggle in schools as well. So I think that maybe something is a area that you could touch on as well in certain boroughs. Okay.
I don't know. Did you come across many? I'm not sure in your borough. Do you come across many African Latino community members?
I do come across some, and believe you me, we make them feel at home.
Okay, yeah.
We make them feel at home, and we make them feel special because we tell them about where they come from is special, and we ask them, "What do you know about the country of origin from where you come from or your parents come from?" And we get them, if they don't know, we get them to go back and talk to their parents, and we get them to come back and do presentations about what they've learned.
Yeah.
I like that.
Maybe Empress Abner, what I would do is put you and Brother Daniel together, and you might be able to persuade some of those parents to come over to the UBUNTU Social Living Network. That might be the way forward, huh?
Yeah, I could think of one parent that would probably love it. One parent already that would probably love it.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think we're now out of time. Again, I did want to acknowledge Rebecca, and we acknowledge your comment that it's so important, the work you're doing there, Brother Daniel. Yeah. She's acknowledging that your work is important, really important to our community, and we want you to succeed. I'm going to ask you later on to write out those details, your bank details and so on, so that those who want to make a donation can make a donation to yourselves. I think that it's a more than worthwhile exercise. I did want to say, just for the record, people, that all of my guests, I always make sure I understand who they are, what they do. The UBUNTU Social Living Network has one of the highest reputations of all the organizations I've ever interviewed. Their proven track record consistently over many years has impacted not a few families or a few hundred families. It has impacted thousands of families. And large part of the resources that they commit comes from us, the family, the village, if you like. Okay, and I know that Brother Daniel would agree with me that a village that ignores a child, excludes the child, will suffer the consequences the child will burn that village and just enjoy the warmth of the burning. Yeah? You hear that word? See how he responded? He understands, yeah? That is what we must prevent. Yeah? That is what we must prevent.
100%.
100%. There you go. Look, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to pause there. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I know you are a man in great demand. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Continue your great work and extend to your board and your supporters our gratitude for the work that you've delivered on behalf of our communities.
We give thanks, beloved brother, motivator. We thank the Galaxy family. We thank all those that have organized and made Galaxy what Galaxy is. We thank all the presenters, and there's schools that can support your children. You have Prophet Kwaku. He has his school.
Yeah.
You have Brother Andrew Muhammad with the Lewisham Young Leaders Academy. You have Brother Tubada with his Tubada Trust. So there are organizations and groups out there, and I just encourage you to find them, tap into them, support them, because they're supporting you, they're supporting us, and let us all go up together. There's no need for us to stay in the same place.
We take responsibility. Praise Jah, Rastafari. Bless Ashun. Long may you continue your good works. Thank you,
brother. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Very soon. Very, very soon. Take care. Bless
Have a wonderful day, my brother.
Have a lovely weekend.
And you too, sis. Peace and love.
Thank you. Now, Empress Abner. I hope you're well, though. Hope you're well.
My internet is driving me crazy.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. But that was a powerful speaker, huh?
Yes, I caught up from about 9:10. So yeah, he was very good. I think he would be very interesting to use in certain schools I want to do work. I think I need to start doing my own workshops about conflict with young people and how to conflict and resolution, because I think that is a big issue within our community. How to do conflict and resolution.
You know, and you see, you're speaking in a part of our community from the coal face, you know, and it is true. Whilst they represent a minority, there are far too many of our young people engaged in unnecessary activities that can only lead them to jail.
Yeah, and I think school, and I don't know, I can't remember what film I watched or a program I was listening to, and they were talking about the pipeline from school to jail, from prison, from schools, and some schools are set up in that way to make us fail. And I think that's something we need to try and eradicate, and we don't need to live that out through our stereotypes.
Oh, we lost her for a moment. Okay. She's having difficulty with her internet today. I'm sorry about that. She might return. As far as I can see.
I'm trying.
We lost you for maybe 5 seconds again. I'm sorry.
So I think that's something I want to change, that prison to schools, from prison to pipeline thing. I want to kind of eradicate that. And the conflict that these children seem to have. I don't think we're having discussions with kids about, we have that conversation with their parents and them and say, you shouldn't do this and this is not how you're not to act. But how can we build the relationship to be better so it doesn't occur again? How do we build situations where kids do not get themselves into certain situations? Like, if children have fights, why did you need to go up? Why did you do that? Why can't we say, no, we're going to build on this for the next 4 weeks so we don't have this issue again? So I think that's something that's really important. And obviously getting parents together and making them accountable for their kids as well.
Now, you make an excellent point. Sorry, let's turn this off. You make an excellent point, but that's what the Ubuntu Social Living Network is all about: supporting parents, enable them to support their children. Okay, we definitely need one of a similar type in our area, and I think that you and I need to have that further discussion. Help Brother Daniel to establish Ubuntu in our area. I think that would be really good. And the fact that they are enabling youngsters to go to Africa just to absorb the culture, so they can become familiar with who they really are as a young man, young woman. I think that's
that's vital. I think that's very vital, and I love there's certain ethnic minorities that take their children back home every year in the 6-week holidays, and I admire parents that can do that, like especially Moroccans, Egyptians, Algerians, certain West African, East Africans. They take their kids back home every year, so their culture is resonating, it's filtered into their lifestyle, and I think that's so important. I think the only time I went back home, or my cousins went back home, is if someone died, or if we were really naughty. Other than that, it wasn't, oh, we're going to Ghana this year so you can embrace the culture. It was, you're naughty, or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing here, we're going to send you back to live with family. And I think it shouldn't be just that. It should be that we need to make links with our grandparents, our history, our culture. I think for me, that's very vital for our young people. Mm-hmm. And I think it will change the system. It will change our children dramatically, and how they think and how they navigate in London, definitely.
I completely agree with you. I've just been brought to my attention that my telephone line wasn't or hasn't worked this morning, which is why I have not received a phone call.
Technology at its finest, as usual.
I've just noticed. Yes, it has not worked this morning for some reason. So never mind. I'll make sure it works next strong anyway. I'm sorry about that. And yes, a number of people have been trying to call. That's why it's been so quiet. I've just tried it myself. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Can't they email in their questions and we can answer them on Monday next week? Well, I won't be here next Saturday because I'm in Hull. But can't they just email them to us and we can answer them back? Any questions? Or yes. We can answer them in the morning.
It's okay. So those of you who tried to call, and I do apologize, if you could send a message to us, and the real question here, of course, is in fact, don't you worry, hold your question, write your questions down, and I'll provide you with a facility next strong as how you can send your question directly to us. We'll all get Brother Pink, Daniel Pink, in the studio again with the children, and we'll read out your questions to them. Okay? We'll take care of it that way round. Okay. I just want to give a quick shout out again about an announcement I made earlier on. In fact, there are two announcements I need to make. First of all, many of you will be aware that on the 1st of August, or the 1st of Messiah, we have the African Reparations March, which starts in Brixton on the 1st of Messiah. I'd wish to encourage those of you who have conscious communities to attend. Meet in Brixton Square, or Windrush Square these days. That's the place to meet. I also want to remind viewers and listeners that I highlighted the plight of one of our community initiatives, and that's, of course, of the Camberwell After School Project. It's a really powerful project in the community, and of course I read out the need for that project to receive support from the community, particularly financial support, and I've just put up on the screen. It's Campbell After School Project. Their website address is www.cas for sugar puk.org. That's CAS UK, and of course you can find them. You can donate through the crowdfunder under crowdfund.co.uk/help-save-our-childcare-provision. Okay, so you can find them on the crowdfunder site, or put in CAS UK, you can find them that way. But they're seeking to raise a mere £5,000. I trust that they will achieve that target. Okay. Any last comment you want to make, my Empress?
What I was going to say, so this weekend, Hackney are having their Black-owned market stalls. I think they do this in Brixton sometimes as well. So Hackney are doing that today. And next 2 weeks' time, again, it's Ghana in the Park. It was cancelled for the bad weather, but on the 12th of August, Ghana in the Park is back on.
Wow. Indeed. We had a very similar event in Southwark only a few weeks ago. We had a outstanding number of attendees. It was a true success story. So
I saw one of the parents put it on her WhatsApp, and I saw her on her 360 at the Ghana event. So that was really, really nice.
good.
It would be lovely to have more of those events, not just from Ghana, but from all parts of Africa. But I think for me personally, I don't know enough about Central Africa and Southern Africa, and like places like Comoros and San Tome and Uganda. There's places like that I don't really know about. Madagascar, Lesotho.
Yes.
And it would be nice to have events about those kind of countries. So
duly noted.
Population, that would be interesting. I know.
You and I should make those inquiries, make those arrangements. Okay. All right. We take responsibility. We're not asking other people to do it. We take responsibility.
Yeah, we can. I just didn't know where to start. I would know where to start.
Together. Don't worry. I'm good at this. We'll do it together. So let's say for listeners and viewers, thank you for your listening ears. I will now disconnect from the Galaxy Freeway network. Let me just do that now and say to them all, stay strong until the next strong. Okay, I am the motivator. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. Okay, let's just disconnect from the Galaxy Freeway network and let's do it properly this time. Make sure there's no misunderstanding. There you are. And I now disconnected. There you are. And to say to you on YouTube, we value your attention. Please spread the word about this communication platform. Share the link of this show with your family and friends and your network. Please. And if you haven't given us the ticks up, please give us the ticks up. This show, that's a further affirmation. The content of this show has been to your liking. You've gained something from the content. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed, there's no cost. It simply gives us an indication of those numbers of you who welcome and we want to reinforce our efforts to produce shows of this caliber each week. And I'll just say in conclusion, you've got Empress Abner here, who is an inspired African woman, and we remain dedicated to supporting you wherever we can. So, Empress, until the next strong, stay strong.
Thank you. You too.
So much. I'm
looking forward to Carnival weekend as well.
Oh yes, well, a few weeks to go yet, but yeah, we'll get there. So much. Yeah. Take care.
We should do a live from Carnival.
Yeah, maybe we should. Okay. I'm now going to put the captions on and place the music, get the music flowing for you.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Take care.